Thank you, ladies. Much appreciated.
Mr. Chairman, could I just ask where the other volume? I only got one volume, and I see that somebody's waving an attachments volume, but I don't see anybody else with it.
Yeah, I didn't get it either.
I didn't get it
It's
either.
on the M.
I don't think that we did get
It's
it.
online.
The chairman got it.
Online.
But it's another volume.
Yeah, but the chairman,
Oh, I've got a conflict here, so.
I have a standing order for printed versions of everything.
Who are we up to?
I didn't get it, and I don't think anybody else did.
Gambling.
okay. Well, look, people, this is to retrospectively approve some submissions which we diligently worked through and sent off to the various organisations in Wellington. So the first one is obviously 14. And it's Auckland Council submission to the strategy to prevent and minimise gambling harm 2016-17 to 2018-19.
I'm happy to move that. So move.
Moved by Councillor Mr Wilcox, seconded by Councillor Nye and Councillor Casey.
Yeah, I'm concerned, and I'll raise my concern here, and that is that we had a discussion a couple of times at various committees when there was a change to the word pokey to become gaming machine or gambling machine or some other such. There was a discussion around this table, and it was agreed that if you asked 100 people in the street about pokies, they would understand what you were talking about. So when I read through this submission, it bothers me greatly the word pokies doesn't appear. Indeed, it's back to gaming stroke gambling machine. Now, a pokey is a pokey. That's what we're talking about. Everybody understands what the International Convention Centre is bringing into the casino in terms of pokies. They do not understand what a gambling or gaming machine is. So can you please tell me why we don't have the word pokies in here?
So through the chair, the language used in the submission is reflecting the Ministry of Health's language. They refer to gaming machines, so as it's a response to their consultation document, we've mirrored the language that they've used, but we'll definitely take that point into account in future.
You could, if you're doing that, then put in brackets behind it, pokies.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Any other questions? Okay, I'll move. Sorry, Mr Wilcox.
Oh, I've moved this, haven't I?
Yes.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, sorry. Just great to see your template ko te tāpaitanga o te kaunihero tāmaki Makaurau. Congratulations. Ka pai.
okay. Moved by Mr Wilcox. I'll second it.
Oh.
What?
No.
Okay, I'll move it. I'll put it. Those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Declare. No?
Vote recorded.
Vote recorded. Councillor Penrose. We now go to 15. This is a bit of a damp squib, unfortunately. It's a submission that didn't get very far. It was in relation to the Auckland Council submission on the sale and supply of alcohol extended licensing hours during the Rugby World Cup bill. Bill Cashmore, you're going to move the same bill?
It's use the word damp squid, Mr Chair, is probably fairly accurate.
It's history, yeah.
It's history.
Well, I think we actually reflected a lot of the sentiments of our communities when this was put in, but it was a major change with the way the Parliament saw the situation. Now, I don't think they'll be doing that too often in the future, but maybe they will.
Too many problems?
So, Councillor Penrose, your second one?
Oh, yeah, I'll second it because it's history here. But, Mr Chair, the question I have for you is, in regards to those who had already applied for a dispensation, have they been reimbursed, or what's the story?
Yeah, I'm interested in that too.
Yeah, it's sitting out there, isn't it? Some of them aren't.
You know what the situation is?
Through you, Mr Chair, the last that I heard was that we weren't going to reimburse them. I know that some councils around the country have gone down that path, but they only had sort of 1 or 2 applicants, whereas I think we had 8.
Well, Mr Chair, in good faith, I think that's that we should be honouring this because it wasn't by our call; it was by the government's call to change the direction of the Rugby World Cup and how they promote alcohol. Yet these people, in good faith, applied to council for dispensation, a special licence, and then having to wear the cost of it. I don't think that's fair.
Oh, well, I think I think we, before we start going down that track, we would have to look at what the difference is between what they were what licence they were granted and what they now have, what their ability is to operate under this new thing. Because
Well,
I don't know.
Can I suggest we look at it, Mr. Chair?
But it's easy to make a decision here, but I don't know if Mr. Sinclair or
Yeah, Mr. Chair, there was a number of special licence applications that were submitted and processed, and there was another group of applications that were submitted but were then put on hold because of the bill being notified. Those that had actually been processed through the system have had all of the man hours and investment of council put into those.
Yeah.
The money that was spent by the applicants has been used through the services that have been provided to them through that process.
yeah. Good answer. Thank you.
Wasn't fair.
Not fair.
Right, I'll put the motion. Those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. And we go to the last one, which is another submission. Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
Anthony,
I'll move this.
unfortunately, Anthony, you've had to wait all day for something which has already happened. Maybe if you just give us a bit of a rundown on what it involves.
All right, so this discussion paper from the Ministry of Business, Innovation and Employment focused on simplifying the rights of network builders to access private property to install ultra-fast broadband connections. To date, we don't have numbers at this stage. We're trying to get those from the Ministry in terms of how many people are actually currently on wait lists to access the ultra-fast broadband program. Obviously, Council doesn't regulate how people access ultra-fast broadband connections, but we do have an interest in making sure that Aucklanders can access these services as quickly as possible, particularly where they have been built. My understanding is that of the areas where UFB is available, take-up is at around 19%, which is, in my opinion, quite low. And we have a lot of anecdotal data coming through that people are basically being turned away from connecting to the service, essentially because there are a couple of reasons, but mostly around the fact that you need permission from property owners in multi-dwelling units, so apartment buildings, office buildings, shared access driveways. If you're renting, you need specific permission from your landlord to connect the service to the dwelling. And in a lot of cases, either the landlord or the property owner refuses outright, or they're not able to be contacted because they're overseas or otherwise uncontactable. So the proposals put forward by central government have essentially looking at two different options, one being a deemed consent option. So if there's no response from the property owner within a given time frame, then the network operator can move on and complete the installation. The other one being splitting it into a low impact installation or a high impact installation, so they can proceed if the installation's impact is low on the property. If it is high, then there would be a set of criteria they'd have to meet to allay the concerns of the property owners.
Okay. So are you reporting to Council and I's committee sometime in the future on progress with
We've got a working party.
fibre optic?
Yes, we do have a working party around broadband in general, particularly around serving rural communities, which are currently suffering from having an extreme lack of good quality broadband access. So that's something that can be part of our political working team's discussions.
Yeah, but when you say Councillor Webster, you have a working party, I think it would be a good one for...
Report back to you, councillor.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, not me, but to this committee.
No, we report into this committee.
Okay. No, I know, it's...
Sorry.
But it hasn't
You
been
must be jet lagged.
It hasn't been the most kind of rapid take-up, has it?
Excuse me, Mr Chairman, we have actually reported back around.
several times.
We approved the application to the government for extra rural broadband funding. We've done all of that work. That's the latest report.
So this focuses specifically on existing UFB access.
Yeah.
So that's primarily at this stage within the metropolitan Auckland area. So it's an issue that's affecting people right now who have had the network built past their gates, but for various reasons can't access it.
So it's been moved by Councillor Webster, seconded by Councillor... Oh, sorry.
I'll have a second. I've got a question.
Oh, no, Mr Wilcox has got a question, and then Councillor Darby.
I'll second it.
You're going to second it, Councillor Darby?
Yes.
Just a quick one. So last figures I heard was approximately 50% of Auckland residents now are renting, or between 50 and 60%. So what I'm trying to get at is this a way to try and get some of those people onto broadband? Is that?
Yeah, absolutely. So this what central government's put forward is an approach that we generally agree with. It's quite a common sense approach. The way we'd like to see it move forward is a combination of deemed consent and low impact installations. So we'd like to see landowners given the opportunity to respond. Obviously, if they don't respond within a given time frame, then these proposals enable Chorus, for example, in Auckland, who's the network builder, to move ahead and complete the installation, provided that the impacts are low. And that's something that central government is still working on, the definition and criteria for low impact installation. So that's definitely something that will help renters.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Councillor Cashman.
Oh, thanks, Mr Chairman. Note this is retrospective and everything else. Just for a point for information, it's about reinstatements. I understand the low and high impact. Is reinstatement of the land, the property surrounding the actual infrastructure itself, is that being covered off in some other part of the process? The quality of the reinstatement?
The quality of the reinstatement, we've asked central government to provide more detail around what the criteria will be for high and low impact. Obviously, some areas, particularly if you're going down a long concrete driveway, there will be some issues around that. So that's something we expect to work more closely with the ministry on once they've developed the policy further.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr Chair.
Thank you. Just one of the numbers you gave says a bit alarming, a 19% uptake where ultrafast is already rolled out. So what is the number where it was rolled out much earlier, you know, like at the beginning of the program, as opposed to what was, say, maybe earlier this year? And is there, I guess, probably don't need all the answers now, but is there a bit of a half an A4 or an A4 of the rollout uptake, and just is there a document somewhere that you can provide to us, or at least me?
There is a regional broadband uptake release that MB released in June that I'm happy to circulate. It's a little bit light on the details that we'd like, so we've gone back to the ministry to ask for a bit more of a breakdown, especially around how many people are actually currently actively prevented from taking up the service. So that would give us a bit more of an indication of, if these barriers were removed, how many people would actually have had that service today.
Mr Chair, you'll recall when we rolled out the NEAL program, the ultrafast broadband on the shore, and we had an extremely low uptake. In fact, there was one school, and that was Kristen's school, that was using it remotely like it could be used. All the others thought that they were using fast broadband, but they were just, you know, same old pipe really. So I think this is of interest to us, and this is not the main thrust of today, but I think we should probably get our heads around that. And it just could be just a memo, because Auckland Council has a role here to play in making sure that we do get the uptake and start to release some value of this massive investment. Otherwise, we could be going down the same old track.
Absolutely, and we're perfectly happy to be involved in generating some of that uptake discussion and disseminating some of those key messages. I think at this stage, one of the issues we're grappling with is that because we don't have the information we need from central government, it's hard to make sure that any interventions that we do put in place are actually essentially value for money.
Yeah, sure,
so
absolutely.
it would be great. Hopefully we can get the numbers we need from MB to give us an indication of how many people are actually on the wait list to get connected to the service, and that'll give us an indication of sorts of how aware people are of the value proposition of UFB.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so with that, I'll put the motion. It's been moved, seconded by Councillor Webster, seconded by Councillor Cooper. that we retrospectively approve this land access for telecommunications submission. I'll put that motion. Those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. And we'll expect that memorandum to come back through the, in the next month or so, yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank
much. Okay, with that, there's nothing else.
Move receipt of 17.
Sorry.
Happy to.
Just move it. And I think it's procedural.
Yeah, I'll move the receipt of those information items.
I'll second it.
Seconded by councillor Darby. I'll put that motion. Those in favour? Aye.
Aye.
Against? Declare that carried. Thank you. And that does conclude the meeting.
Yes.
Now we have a workshop.
We have a briefing.
Yeah. Give us a phone. Maybe a 2-minute break.
That's 10 minutes. We're 10 minutes late starting, so that's 10 minutes.